Welcome to the podcast about investing in startups, where existing investors can learn how to get the best deal possible. And those that have never before invested in startups can learn the keys to success from the venture experts. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to TFR for a special installment of Investor Stories. In this segment, the investors tell a story about some of the most odd and unusual situations they've ever encountered as investors. This is the segment called The Strange and Unusual. On today's special segment, we have Tim OReilly. Tim, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered in your time as an investor?
Well, one that was really, when you asked that question, one that popped to mind and it made me think I've got to go back and see what happened. It was a guy from somewhere in the Midwest who had an idea for smart highways. And the idea was that you would have refurbishing highways. They would basically put in a mesh, that would supply power and connectivity. They had Verizon as a partner. They had this pilot with the state. It was like, oh, whoa, there's so many moving parts here. There's so much that could go wrong, but kind of a wonderful, crazy idea,
Yeah.
But just so crazily ambitious that you go, well, I can see you can get to a pilot maybe. But it's just, part of it's just understanding what your own capabilities are. If you look at what Elon has done with Tesla, with these, just the number of things that he's had to pull together.
On the Boring Company as well.
From new battery technology to building a car factory to these charging stations. He's really been reinventing the infrastructure. And, if you're a really great entrepreneur and you can really pull off getting enough money, but Elon was somebody who had a lot of credibility, was also willing to put his own money, at stake. Whereas this entrepreneur, wonderful set of ideas, wonderful possible set of partners. Again, it was do we really understand the politics of Kansas or wherever it was? I'm not going to say. Enough to understand, is this real? This is going to happen. Anyway, that was my craziest one, I think.
Love it. Some of the best advice. On today's special segment, we have Sarah Anderson of Centrifuge. Sarah, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered?
Yeah, I was looking back into some of our notes actually from the early days. Centrifuge was formed, I think, about a year or two into Fund 1. I got this deck. It was super professional. It was really well put together. And at that point in time, we would talk really to anybody that had an early stage venture fund, whether they would fit into the portfolio or not, because we wanted to, just really get to know everybody that was out there. And so I had a call, and I cannot remember the fund's name at all. But I remember talking to this kid. I don't even know if he could drink yet, right? He was still a student at MIT, and he was putting together a fund, which I guess in his mind he was raising from institutionals. But it was a standard venture fund out of Boston, right? And it was going to do early stage venture investing. And it had nothing to do with like MIT or the university or the students there. But we got down to it and I was like, his target was high. I think it was like 100 million or so for his experience. He had never done venture before, right? He had never operated a company before.
Wow. And
it just came down to the fact that because he was a student at MIT, he wanted to raise a venture fund and thought he could raise a venture fund. And I wish desperately that I could remember the name of that fund, because I want to go back and check and see how well they're doing. Because who knows, maybe they blew the cover off the ball, right? Maybe this was like my worst miss. But essentially at that point, I thought, goodness, right? Anybody and their brother could raise a venture fund if this kid could. But I ended up telling him it probably wasn't going to be a good fit for our portfolio, but I wished him the best of luck. And yeah, I'm sure he was successful.
On today's special segment, we have Vic Pascucci of Lightbank. Vic, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch that you've encountered?
I guess the craziest situations that I've seen recently and maybe it's because of some of the dynamics we talked about, what's going on in the market, is that, when I see venture investors from really big brand name firms that have billions and billions in AUM walk away from their companies, like, it still shocks me. And what I've come to learn and appreciate is that, when you have these large funds that are cramming money into these early stage companies, like, if they're used to writing a $20 million check, and like everyone's all happy, excited, it's like, oh, look, they're going to lead our Series A with an $8 million check. Like, if they don't, if within 6 to 9 months see that it's going to be a $1 billion company, and nobody knows at the Series A, like, we really don't know. Like, we say we know, but we don't know.
Right.
Like, the behavior of the large firms just to walk and be like, I'm out. Like, I'm phoning into board meetings and I'm out at the B. And I know you need a bridge, and we're looking at like a $300 million exit in the next 6 months. Like, to see those firms walk on it, because at the end of the day, nothing moves the needle for them other than like $1 billion company within a couple of years. It's just like, that really shocks me to see that type of behavior. And I think, sometimes it's partner specific and maybe it's geography specific, but that type of thing really shocks me. Like, I just can't get my head around it. Like, we're in a great team. We got great technology. We're in a great space. Like, the path is there. We just have to like do the gut check and be like, nah, I'm out. I don't get it.
Interesting.
I just don't get it.
Without naming names, is there an example of a company that maybe some investors lost interest in that ended up turning it around and doing great things and having a big exit?
We'll look at Snapsheet. Let's go to the deal that like brought me together with Lightbank. Like, there was a point in time like where nobody, like, first of all, everyone passed on the deal. Like, people are like taking pictures of damaged cars. Like, what's the big deal about that? Like, not understanding they're revitalizing a whole claims value chain.
Yes.
Taking a 2-week process down to a couple hours in this beautiful, elegant experience, and people are getting their money within hours, or they're getting into a repair shop and the rental car's coming up, and revitalizing legacy systems and becoming this next generation thing. And like, you see that and it's there. And like, Brad Weisberg ended up there with CJ because like they got into an auto accident and realized it was just bad. I'm like, no, like, let's go. And so like, we Lightbank seed and A. I came in at the B, and then obviously I'm on the board now and it's great. I'm back with the team. But like, everyone passed on that thing. Everybody. And they told Brad he was going nowhere and this is stupid and like there's no value there. And like, now he's got almost 400 employees doing an amazing percentage of the claims going on through the system. You see like these commercials on TV with, mobile claims. Guess who the fuck that is, right? Yeah. And, when you see these things happen and you see it from there, it's just like everyone cut them out. And now they got a preemptive term sheet for their last round. And now they're like an InsurTech darling. In fact, I was joking with Brad earlier this morning. I'm like, yeah, you remember before there was this thing called InsurTech and we were just the assholes that didn't know anything trying to improve things. So, that was somebody that counted them down and out. And now they're killing it. Brad's grown amazing as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, and the team he's putting together and what they're doing with their next generation of technologies is just fantastic.
Awesome. That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.